Hello, guys. My name's Jill. I'm a widow who was unlucky enough to lose the love of her life at a very young age. My husband was truly my soulmate and my best friend. After he passed from a sudden illness, I heavily relied on my family for emotional support. My mom and dad were of great help, but my brother Kurt wasn't. Kurt was more interested in the fact that I had inherited $1 million estate from my husband. He was a rich man and left me with a lot of money. I also worked from home and got a decent salary. All in all, I was pretty well off, but that didn't matter to me. I would trade it all to get my husband back. Somehow, my brother wasn't interested in my feelings at all. Kurt had a stepdaughter, Nina, from his wife, Betty. They married 2 years ago and Betty had been living with them. Kurt and Betty used to pester me to take over some of Nina's responsibilities. They said, "Jill, your husband did leave you with a lot of money. Any ideas on what you want to do with it?" "I am least interested in thinking about the money or estate, Betty. For now, I'm trying hard to recover from my husband's death." "Yeah, I understand that, but it sure is a lot of money. You don't even have kids. You should be using it on someone important." "What do you mean, Betty? And why are you so concerned about my money?" "Relax, Jill. I was just having a discussion. You know, you have some family members who could really use some help. Nina has taken a liking to you. You should maybe spend some more time with her." "Yeah, since you don't have a child of your own, it will help you experience a little bit of motherhood. You'll be a great aunt to Nina. Think about it. Why don't I drop her off at your place when you're free?" I was really surprised by what Kurt and Betty were trying to tell me. Even our parents were ashamed of them. They scolded Kurt and Betty for making such weird plans. To be honest, I was extremely mad at my brother for thinking about taking advantage of me when I was still dealing with my husband's death. Plus, I didn't even know Nina that well for them to assume I would take her responsibility. Days passed, but Kurt and Betty never stopped trying to put Nina's responsibility on me. They often asked for money and told me how I should be helping them out more since I don't have children to spend on. I was getting really tired of their behavior. One day, I got so pissed that I told them off. I said, "You need to stop trying to pass on your child to me. Yes, I don't have children, but I am not entitled to taking care of your child." "How can you be so mean, Jill? Nina is your niece, so she is already your family. You should not talk about her that way." "Yes, exactly, Betty. She is my niece and not my child. It's not my responsibility to take care of her. It's yours and Kurt's." "Come on, Jill. You literally have so much money. Why can't you just take some of Nina's responsibilities? We can leave you at your house so that you can feel like her mother." "Listen to me, you two. I am not and never will be Nina's parent. And you two are not entitled to my money just because you have kids. I am not responsible for your parental duties towards your own kids. So don't even bother pressuring me into this." I scolded Betty and Kurt a lot that day, so they went quiet for a while. They also knew that the family was not very pleased with their behavior either. That's why things had been peaceful for some time. That was until Kurt gave us some shocking news. One morning, Kurt told us that Betty had gone missing. Apparently, she was having a mental health crisis and ran off somewhere. Kurt claimed to have informed the cops and they are now looking for Betty. I was very surprised to hear this news. Betty seemed fine to me, so I didn't know what caused her to snap all of a sudden. Anyway, days passed and there was no sign of Betty. Kurt was taking a lot of help from family to take care of Nina, who was still with him. The poor girl was crying and asking for her mother, so the family took turns being with her. She was on summer break and needed a babysitter at all times when Kurt left for work. After managing for a few days, Kurt came to me with a request. He said, "Jill, I was hoping you would help me take care of Nina. She's very young and needs a mother figure right now. I don't know when we can get hold of Betty. Nina has been crying for her mom and I hate to leave her with a babysitter all day. Can you help me out a bit?" "Sure, Kurt. My heart breaks for poor Nina. God knows where her mom is right now. I can't believe she would abandon her daughter like this. Still, I hope whatever mental health crisis she's dealing with right now gets resolved. That poor girl needs her mother. Until then, I can take care of her." Great then. I'll drop her off whenever I'm at work. She is a good kid and won't disturb you much. I'll collect her back from your house after I leave work. Thank you so much for your help, Jill. Kurt's sudden enthusiasm kind of threw me off a bit. He suspiciously didn't look like someone whose wife was missing and had left a small child. Nina had been a little distressed, but looked fine to me as well. Still, I could see that she was struggling with something, so I decided to help my brother out. No matter what beef I had with Betty, it shouldn't stop me from looking after a small child. Nina started to be around me a lot from then. Kurt dropped her off every day while he was on his way to work. Then he used to pick her up when he was off work. I actually gave him a copy of my house keys to make things easier. Thankfully, Nina settled in with me quite well. She loved being around me and was looking a lot better now. She looked a little weary at times, but it never lasted long. My house was feeling a bit full with her presence. I was fine paying for her meals and toys since I didn't want to put pressure on Kurt. However, I never expected Kurt to turn this into something permanent. One day, he said, "Hey, Jill, I was hoping we could talk about something. So, I see that Nina's really happy with you. When she goes home, she can't stop talking about how great her day was. She really loves you, Jill." I'm happy to know that, Kurt. She is a good child and doesn't give me any trouble. I wonder how a woman like Betty ended up having such a good kid like Nina. Must be because of her father. Who knows? Yeah, maybe she gets that from her dad. Anyway, so I have a few business trips coming up and we still are not close to finding Betty, so I was hoping Nina could be with you full time for now. What? You want me to take in Nina full time? Like you want her to stay here with me? Yes, Jill. Look, you stay alone and have plenty of room here. Nina loves it here and doesn't disturb you. I don't see how it can be a problem. I really need to concentrate on my work and look for Betty. Having Nina around is distracting and I don't have time to pay attention to her. Kurt, you can't just spring this on me. This is ridiculous. Your stepdaughter needs to stay with you. You can't just ship her off to me when things are tough. That's not being a good parent. I know that, Jill. I'm trying to do the best for Nina right now. Please, think about that poor child and keep her. It's only for a short time. Once I get my ducks in a row, I will take her back. You won't have to worry about her anymore. Kurt kept begging and pleading with me to let Nina stay with me. I was pretty annoyed with him, but needed to think about Nina. It was true that she seemed happier with me, but taking her in-house was a big responsibility, so I wasn't sure. Somehow, Kurt involved our parents and extended family who were also pressuring me to take Nina in. They felt bad for the child and for Kurt. After being under immense pressure, I agreed to take Nina in. Kurt seemed to be very happy with this outcome. Slowly, Nina moved into my house and stayed there permanently. I set up one of the spare rooms for her and even added new furniture to accommodate her. Plus, I bought her a lot of toys and clothes. She was happy to be around me and enjoyed being at the house. I was also growing close to her. Nina considered me as one of her parents. That's why it was easy for her to tell me the truth about Kurt and Betty. Yes, it was Nina who exposed the horrible secret of her family. One day, she said, "You are so nice, Aunt Jill. I love you a lot. Dad says that you love me as well." I do love you a lot, Nina. You are almost like my own child now. Do you like being here at my house? Yes, Jill, I love being here. Mom likes coming here too. She says that one day you'll give me the house and we can all stay here together. What? What do you mean, Nina? When did your mother talk to you about this? She tells me almost every day, Jill. She told me not to tell you, but I feel bad keeping secrets. Mom doesn't want you to know that she is here. Your mom has been visiting this house? But how, Nina? I don't understand. You gave Kurt a set of your keys. Mom said that Kurt gave her those keys so that she could come and see me. When does your mom visit you, Nina? I don't see her around when I come. She visits when you are out for groceries and shopping. She usually leaves before you come home. My head was spinning with all this information. I couldn't believe how badly my brother and his wife betrayed me. I had a hard time believing what I was hearing from Nina. Yes, it's true that I left Nina with my housekeeper when I went shopping, but I had no idea that Betty was sneaking in with the house keys when the housekeeper was busy with her work. And she somehow left before I returned. The sheer calculation that Kurt and Betty used to chalk out this plan was mind-blowing. I was truly in shock. I decided to get some more information from Nina. I said, "Nina, do you know why your mom is pretending to be missing? You know that she made everyone believe that she is not in the city." "Mom said that she needed to do this for us. She wants you to take me in and keep me as your child. She says that you're rich and will give me a good life because you don't have children. That's why she did this." How much of this does Kurt know, Nina? Is he helping your mom as well? I know Kurt wants me to take care of you. Believe me, I like having you around. I'm just curious, so I'm asking. Yeah, they told me not to tell you and pretend that mom is not around. I love you, so I told you everything. I hope you're not mad at me. Oh, Nina, I'm not mad at you, dear. Thank you so much for sharing your secrets with me. It was very exciting to hear this. I wanted to get Kurt and beat the shit out of him. I felt used and manipulated. Those two imbeciles were using me to get my money. They played with my emotions and used their freaking child for their schemes. I was fuming. I didn't know Kurt and Betty could be so greedy that they would go this far. They lied to the entire family to make Nina my heir. They were pathetic and disgusting as parents. I didn't even want to call Kurt my brother anymore. But first, I needed to catch them red-handed. I informed my housekeeper about what was going on and told her to keep an eye on everything. She was embarrassed by the fact that someone had been sneaking in behind her back. I assured her that I wasn't mad because my freaking brother was the one who gave Betty the key. Together, along with Nina, we made a plan. I was going to end this game once and for all. The next day, I decided to go on a shopping trip. I left the house in a good mood and went off in my car. Then, I made 2 circles around the neighborhood before hopping right back into the house. My housekeeper gave me the green signal, and I marched inside straight into Nina's room. She was alone playing with her toys. I looked at her and raised my eyebrows. She nodded at me and pointed straight to the closet. I went to her closet and opened the door with a very serious face. Lo and behold, I found my dear sister-in-law, Betty, sitting inside the small space. As soon as she saw me, she turned as white as a ghost. I dragged her out and said, "So, are you going to tell me what you were doing in my house and hiding in my closet?" I was just visiting my daughter." Well, who exactly gave you permission to enter my house? I don't remember ever giving you a set of my house keys. And weren't you supposed to be missing? I got it from Kurt. I was missing Nina. I just came back today. I was desperate to see my daughter, so I came here without your permission. Ah, so you suddenly came back today. Pray tell me why Nina has been telling me that you visited her every time I left the house. Do you have a good answer to that? She's a child and doesn't know what she's saying. You shouldn't believe her words. She is a child. That's why she told me the truth. You tried to recruit your child in your evil plans of enjoying my money. You should be ashamed of yourself, Betty. You should have thought twice before trespassing into my house. You know that I can get you arrested, right? Betty looked really frightened and started to sweat. It didn't occur to her that she literally came to my house illegally, and I was well within my rights to get her arrested. She was really nervous when she comprehended the situation. She knew that she was stuck. I told the housekeeper to take Nina to my room so that Betty couldn't use her as a blackmail tool. She was stuck with me for good. She said, "Jill, there's no need to get the police involved. I swear I just returned today. I just wanted to see Nina, so I begged Kurt for the keys." Is that so, Betty? Then why is Kurt saying that he still hasn't heard from you? Stop trying to twist the story, Betty. I know well enough that you and Kurt made up this plan to manipulate me. Your daughter has told me everything. Jill, you have to understand, I only had her best interest in mind. I was a poor and desperate mother who wanted her daughter to have a good life. Is that why you've been telling Nina about you all living in my house? Your daughter's a good kid, Betty. She knows that what you did was wrong. So she told me everything. You thought you could take advantage of me by using your child. Well, you are wrong. Now, I will show you what happens to people who mess with me. As soon as I said this, I could already hear the sirens in the distance. Yes, I called the cops on Betty the moment I walked in through my door. She entered my house without my permission. I was going to teach her a nice lesson. She tried to run, but I caught her and kept her in place. The cops came and took my statement. Then they arrested her. I also graciously informed them about the whole situation, which absolutely shocked them. Needless to say, they contacted CPS to have them look into the case. Since her mom was now in jail, Nina's dad would get full custody of her now. As for my brother, karma was knocking at his door too. After the cops took Betty away, I went straight to my parents. From there, we called Kurt and told him to come over. By the time he arrived, he already knew that his grand plan had been discovered. He looked embarrassed and refused to meet our eyes. I said, "Do you have anything to say for yourself, Kurt? Don't bother lying because we are way past that now. I know the truth just as well as you do." "I'm sorry, Jill. I really did what was best for Nina. I knew that you had the means to give her a luxurious life. You are alone and don't have children, so we thought having Nina around would be good for you too." "That is bullshit, Kurt. You did this all for yourselves. Nina would be the happiest around her parents. Instead of working hard and providing for Nina, you decided to dump her on me instead. You didn't care if I was alone. You only cared about who my heir would be. So you used that poor child to trap me." "Jill, please believe me. I don't care what you wanted, Kurt. The truth is that you lied to me and played with my feelings. I helped you out all the time, and this is how you treat me. From today, you are on your own. Nina is going to her father anyway. After this day, I don't have a brother, and don't even think about asking me for money again. I won't help you, even if you are dying." Kurt didn't expect me to be so hard on him. He looked shocked and immediately started to apologize and beg for forgiveness. He even tried to recruit our parents to speak for him. Instead, my parents jumped on him and berated him for being a lying and scheming witch. They also told him that they felt betrayed and wanted nothing to do with him anymore. And they promised to tell everyone what a horrible person he and Betty were. My parents were always high on morals and ethics, so my brother's greedy schemes and manipulations really set them off. They were also offended on my behalf and wanted to teach the couple a nice lesson. After they screamed at him for an hour, they ungraciously kicked him out. Kurt did show up at my door to beg me for forgiveness. My police case had indeed landed them in a lot of trouble. CPS is looking into the case, and it looks like Betty will lose custody of Nina to her ex-husband. Kurt apparently doesn't have any savings to get Betty out of jail. Her husband was already on his way to get Nina while she stayed with me for the time being. I told Kurt that he and Betty deserved whatever was happening to them. Then I shut the door on their faces. From what I hear, no one is willing to support Kurt or Betty anymore. They are alone with a nice lawsuit hanging on their head. Nina has been picked up by her father, who thanked me for taking such good care of her. I still talk to the little girl at times, but mostly my life is back to where it was.